What is up? What's going on? My name is Arvin. Today we are going to sketch an old Grand Prix, vintage Grand Prix race car. It's an Audi. And I'm going to start, it's not going to be, obviously it's not going to be full speed. I've decided to go with time lapse only because there's a lot of work involved in this particular demonstration, which is going to involve not only working with the marks a lot, pencil or pen, on newsprint pad, but also getting into some chalk. I didn't plan this. I just started to go. I wasn't thinking about figuring out what kind of colors I was going to use. So this is kind of rough, but it was fun. I enjoyed kind of working through this one. But at the end of it, when I looked at it, I thought it could probably be better, but that's okay. So here we go. We're laying in some of these basic shapes. Notice how I again lightly sketch out where I think I'm going to place my wheels, and I'm just adding in the ellipses here. I'm a little off camera. Also my minor axis, it's not quite, in fact it's not correct at all. I made some mistakes as I start to watch my own video and see what I was doing, but such is the life of me with so many distractions. I had also my son with me, did not want me to draw, didn't want me to sketch. So it was one of those things you got to get the quick sketch in and then go back and play with Legos. So sometimes my drawings don't become as accurate as I'd like them to be, but that's okay. You know, hopefully that you're still gaining something out of it, and then some of these drawings may be hit or miss, but that's alright, because you know that next week you're going to get another one, or actually in the next couple of days or next day or so you're going to get another one. What I do want to show is that it's okay to make mistakes. In fact, you're going to make a lot of them. You don't have to worry about the mistakes. You just have to keep moving forward. And just keep charging through. Once you finish one drawing, then you try to go on to the next one, and start looking at pictures, reference photographs, and things like that. And there are a lot of things you can do, believe it or not, on your own. Sometimes the guidance is good. You need to have the guidance, because the guidance from somebody that knows a lot of the basic stuff and what they're doing, they can kind of help you along at the beginning until you get some momentum and keep working at it. So I'm just adding some spokes. Everything is just being done quickly. And I'm just focusing on sort of indicating all the details. I'm not drawing a lot of details here. And then once I actually work with the marks a lot, if you actually prefer, you can get a set of grayscale markers, and the grayscale markers to help lay in your lines. And you see that a lot with conceptual artists. When you use a grayscale marker, maybe you're on a 30%, what's advantageous about it, and you have seen me, by the way, do this on other videos, maybe not on this one, but when I work with grayscale markers, it allows me to sort of estimate, and then I can make my corrections as I've sketched something out and find that my guidelines are not quite correct. Then I know I can go back and correct the mistakes before I tighten anything up. Once you work with marks a lot and go straight like this, you're screwed. Once you got it in there, if it's wrong, it's wrong. And I'm sort of screwed here because my front ellipses here on the front of the car are not quite correct. I think I could have gone a little bit wider, and I think I need to also rotate my ellipses a little bit, at least the one on the left-hand side of the car. But like I said, I'm going to keep going. It's not too bad. What you really want to avoid is being completely off the mark and not having the perspective even close to correct. What I'm doing now, and I didn't quite see that. There we go. Just move the camera down. But here I'm just adding in a graphic where I might want the smoke, because I'm going to come back in with some pastels and just pop those things out. I've got this light and dark, and I'm going to put the smoke that comes emanating from the car when it starts to spin out. I'm just going to add a little guy here, the driver. Just roughly indicating it. It's really horrible. The guy is really terrible. Once again, when I start to add the things, it's like, ugh. Once I've committed that it doesn't look right, I'm like, okay, well, just try to make it better the next time. I go back in the end of it, I'll probably go back and cover the face a little bit more. I'm taking the white pastel. And by the way, it doesn't matter which brand. Right now, if you're experimenting, just don't worry about the brand. Don't go and buy something really expensive either. I know Rembrandts are really expensive. Don't buy the Rembrandts. Just get something cheap just to especially if you're not completely serious about this stuff, but kind of get used to the medium and just use whatever pastels you can get a hold of. I got some black. I'm going to take the black and I'm going to mix it in with some warmer colors later on. So I've got some reds and I'm just going to add that. I really don't know what the effect is going to be. I wanted to get some sky tones in here. I'm just going to smudge that along, smudging it away, and then I'm going to come back with the white. Not completely happy when I first started this because it ended up being a little bit dirty. That's one of the things you also want to avoid is making sure that it doesn't look too muddy. So as I work through here, what I'm trying to do is just pop things out. Go back in with the pastel. Come back in with my black. Now here I added some yellow to the top. I just went ahead and shaded that through with my hands. So really nice kind of quick dirty drawings that you can do. Alright, so the next thing, right now I'm just mixing up some gouache paint. I've got Windsor and Newton gouache paint. You can come in with the gouache. I'm gonna start doing this actually in real time, so I've now stopped the accelerated timing on this, and now we're just gonna go at full speed. So what I'm doing is just adding these highlights where I think the light's gonna catch. So when you look at the shading of what I've done here with the pastels, I've sort of left that spot a little bit lighter than the rest of it. So you've got these gray, these gradations and these tones from the bottom of the car, this cigar-shaped Grand Prix car, and then I'm just going to come back in and lightly just start adding some gouache paints here. This is just a flat brush. And you want to get different kinds of brushes. Typically I use a round brush, but I just wanted to try with a flat brush a little bit, and then I'll probably go back in and use maybe a round brush later. There's the wheel well. I'm sorry, the wheel. And I'm just adding some highlights in through here, through the spokes. That's where I think the light's gonna catch. Yeah. So some of this stuff is when I go into doing this is stylized. It's not completely accurate. You're never gonna have this much light hitting the spokes in one spot. But on the other hand, what I want to do is to just sort of pop the spokes out, because they sort of get lost in the shading. Just trying to decide now where else. I'm just maybe want to bring some more attention, just add a little bit more gouache paints through here. There we go. And I'm just going to start to add a little bit more details and just touch up some areas and sort of just indicate details and I'll probably end up doing some more of these things. I really do like this, some of the Grand Prix cars from the 40s and the 50s, 60s. 60s were terrific. I really enjoyed the 60s Grand Prix. I've done some paintings, digital paintings of those, and I got some of those things posted up online. In fact, I just posted one on Facebook. Give you a shot here of what I've done before, but 60s era with the open wheels and the engine at the rear were just wonderful, phenomenal. Back in the 50s, they had them in the front. If anyone's ever seen the movie Grand Prix, it's an excellent movie because the photography is so terrific, and it helped me get a lot of terrific reference to be able to do this painting. So now I'm just adding some sketch lines with the brush. It just adds a little bit of visual interest and brings some dynamics to it. You know, when you experiment with something like this and you're not happy with it, then you can go back, you can take this drawing or take the drawing that you may have done and just do something else or do it over again, or just try to experiment, see where did it go wrong, and if you don't like certain aspects of it, this is your chance to go back and just have fun. So here's the finished one. I just did some touch-ups. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you next time. DrivenMavens.com. Have a good one.